on the usage and the residual effects of fungicides and pesticides. From 1985 onwards, Dr. Agnihotra worked as director of Tea Research Institute of the United Planters Association of Southern India, and also a consultant several chemical companies in India and abroad. He was also a member of various selection boards and committees focusing on the problem of plantation crops and pesticides. He attended and chaired various sessions in various international conferences in these topics. As a person, Dr. Agnihotra was charming and human in his dealing with people. His wit and charm were infectious. With his demurely beautiful wife Indra, his lovely son Subramanyeshwar, and his devoted cook Rao, he had a happy home which was always open to visiting friends and relatives. Dr. Agnihotra was published on the papers on the subjects of his interest, number over 350. His monograph on pesticide residues have been published by Rallis India. I shared the link to Mrs. Indra Agnihotra. I hope she will be on the link. And this award this time goes to Professor Naveen Kango. Now I request Professor Bhagiraj to introduce Professor Naveen Kango.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raman. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Naveen Kango, Head of the Department of Microbiology at Hari Singh Gaur Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. He joined this university in 1997 and completed his PhD in 2003 and later did his postdoctoral work at Durban University, South Africa, and also at University of Helsinki, Finland. His research interest is on production and application of industrial enzymes such as cellulases, xylanases, mannanases, illuminases, keratinases, etc. from fungi and also bacteria, and valorization of biomass for generation of 2G bioethanol. He has 45 research papers, 11 book chapters, 1 book and 1 patent to his credit. He is the principal investigator of several research projects and has guided several doctoral students. He is also a member of several professional bodies. Today he is going to present Dr. V. Agnihotra Memorial Award Lecture on production of fungal manolytic enzymes for health promoting prebiotic manoligosaccharides, MOS in short. Professor Kango, please go ahead with the presentation.
Thank you so much, Professor Bhagiraj. I think I am audible and my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yes, you are audible, screen is visible.
Thank you so much. Respected Chairperson, Professor Bhagiraj, respected Co-Chair, Professor Sudhakar Reddy, respected President of MSI, Professor Rupam Kapoor, respected Secretary, Professor N. Raman, and my dear colleague, Dr. Avneet Pal Singh, who has put up this program meticulously, and the moderator for this session, Dr. Arneet Garewal, all the senior and budding mycologists. Very good afternoon to one and all. Well, since morning, I have been receiving wonderful vibes generated by the voices of great mycologists, also, of course, along with their videos and pictures. So it is always a pleasure to discuss and learn about the developments in mycology at the wonderful MSI platform. In fact, it keeps us motivated and charged for the whole of the year. At the start of this memorial lecture, I extend my heartfelt thankfulness to MSI for bestowing this honor upon me. At this juncture, I feel that my contributions are too little for this prestigious award and recognition. However, I assure with all my might that I will try to be worthy of it in the coming future. And before delivering this lecture, I express my gratitude to my mentors, my PhD supervisors, late Professor P.C. Jain and Professor S.C. Agrawal, and also to the senior mycologists of this country. To name a few, Professor Manorachari, Professor T. Satyanarayan, Dr. S.K. Deshmukh, Professor Attri, and I will be failing in my duty, but of course I cannot take all the names here, but I do convey my regards to them. And I'm sure that they are serving like a lighthouse to a small boat like me. So to begin with my presentation, this is about the generation of monooligosaccharides using fungal enzymes. Professor Raman has already introduced this luminary, Dr. V. Agnihotrudu, whose exemplary work on myxomycetes and disease on plantation crops and their management and usage and residual effects of fungicides and pesticides is being remembered today, and his contributions will be remembered forever. And I am proud to be associated with his name. So for those who have not visited my beautiful university, which was set up in pre-independence time in 1946 by a luminary, by a visionary, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur. This is the beautiful, picturesque, lush green campus. And I do wish to invite all of you sometime here. And this is the gate, and this is the Patharia Hills in which this university is situated. Well, coming to my talk, it is about the generation of prebiotics. So to introduce it very quickly, I am very well aware that we are short of time. So I will try to be as brief as possible. To introduce this, what are prebiotics? Prebiotics are the substances which, when fed to the host, are selectively metabolized by the friendly or good bacteria. In this way, the population of good bacteria is enriched, and they of course confer a number of benefits, and at the same time they drive away the bad bacteria. So this particular slide suggests the crux of my presentation, that we are trying to develop these prebiotic oligosaccharides using fungal enzymes. These are the benefits of oligosaccharides. Number of benefits are known, and many of them are being pursued. And some of these include that they offer anti-neoplastic activity, they enhance the mineral absorption, they reduce the obesity, they have the antioxidant properties, they are immunomodulatory, and they are hypolipidemic, and so on. So a number of benefits which stem up from by the consumption of oligosaccharides, and therefore there is a reason to work out that how we can generate oligosaccharides in a cost-effective and easy manner, so that they are more available and the idea is more feasible. This picture is to suggest that how prebiotics work. Well, these two terms go together, pre and probiotics. So to the naive audience or to the young audience, I must clarify this, that prebiotics are the chemical substances and which are utilized by these probiotics. That means that probiotics are the living bacteria. These are the bacteria, or even some of the yeasts are also known nowadays, like Saccharomyces boulardii. So these prebiotics are selectively metabolized by these bacteria, and then they produce, especially say Lactobacilli and Bifidobacterium, they produce a lot of short chain fatty acids that lowers down the pH, and then this is how they favor the enrichment of the population of the good bacteria. They also impart immunomodulatory effect, and so on. They also now the probiotics also produce bacteriocins, defensins, and a number of good things like vitamins as well. So this picture is to illustrate the good effect of the prebiotics conferred upon the host. Well, the indiscriminate use of antibiotics has led to emergence of multi-drug resistance, and so on, like you can see in this picture. I won't elaborate much on this, but everybody knows about this. So one idea to avoid antibiotics is to promote prebiotics. So once you start administering these prebiotics, the gut health is improved, the good bacteria comes into play, and therefore the bad bacteria or the harmful pathogens dwelling in the intestine can be avoided. And subsequently, the drug resistance can be avoided, which has already become a big issue. So this is a review on prebiotic monooligosaccharides published recently in Food Chemistry, and interestingly, because of kind of a bent or inclination towards the fungal enzymes, most of the reviews published from our lab most of the times talk about the fungal enzymes. And interestingly, in case of prebiotic generation, fungal enzymes, I'm sure they have a role to play, they have a significant role to play. So basically, in our lab, we are exploring various kinds of enzymes which can be used to generate different kinds of oligosaccharides. So you can see immuno-oligosaccharides using fungal inulinases, that is, they hydrolyze inulin, and fructo-oligosaccharides using fructosyl transferases, and then mono-oligosaccharides using endo-beta mannanases or mannanases. So I will be talking more about mannanases, but a little bit about inulinases as well as FTases. So what we do in our lab is, firstly, we produce the, firstly, we isolate the mold, which are usually newly isolated from various niches. And then we use them for production of the enzyme. We optimize the enzyme production. We try to characterize the enzyme. And then more importantly, we characterize the end product. So that because it is the end product which is important. And at the end, we characterize the end product. We use that end product. We evaluate that end product for having this prebiotic health promoting benefits like anti-cancer activity, antioxidant activity, scavenging, free radical scavenging activity, etc. So very briefly, this is a few slides are about inulinase that say that inulin is a fructan, and it is found in various various plants, and this is how you can generate either fructose or the immuno-oligosaccharides using fungal inulinases. So here is an example where I use Clearomyces marxianus for generating fructose, which is a low-calorie sugar. And at the same time, we use Aspergillus niger endianulinase to produce oligosaccharides, immuno-oligosaccharides, which are very close to other oligosaccharides like fructo-oligosaccharides. So some more research paper, review articles on inulinases published in different journals. Into fructo-oligosaccharides, the enzyme is named as fructosyl transferase. So it conducts two kinds of activities. One is hydrolysis of sucrose, and at the same time, the fructosylation of the sucrose molecule that leads to production of kistose, nistose, and fructofuranosyl nistose. Basically, these are the well-known prebiotic oligosaccharides which are already available off the shelf, and you can you can always see them, you can always obtain them off the counter. And these are being provided with the probiotic bacterium most of the times, like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. So these preparations which are visible on my screen are called as synbiotics. And they have both the things, pre and probiotics. So what I am trying to say is that FOS is the most commonly exploited, are the most commonly exploited prebiotics nowadays. And we developed one, I must say, a bioprocess for generation of fructo-oligosaccharides using a mycelial fructosyl transferase. This enzyme is bound to the mycelia of this fungi named as Aspergillus temeri. And I'm not going to talk much about this work because I need to focus on MOS now. But just to introduce that these are the FOS is being generated by Aspergillus timmeri fructosyltransferase. And this is how it looks like. You can, the enzyme was localized on mycelia, and then it produced histose and nistose from the table sugar, that is sucrose. So that is the interesting part, that we can exploit this mold that possesses mycelial fructosyltransferase to generate fructooligosaccharides. And then, of course, the characterization of the fructooligosaccharides using NMR and FTIR. And the interesting part about thing about this enzyme was that the enzyme being mycelial, we never needed any kind of immobilization. We simply kept on recycling the mycelia, and that is how you can recycle the enzyme basically without purifying it. And then we studied the effect of the fructooligosaccharides generated by Aspergillus timmeri. You can see how we can purify these oligosaccharides using Biogel P2, and then we use two different media, two different bacteria which are known probiotics, Lactobacillus acidophilus and Lactobacillus delbrueckii, for checking the growth promoting activity of these fructooligosaccharides. So the graph shows that yes, FOS could impart, growth promoting activity, growth promotion of these lactobacillus, and at the same time the pH was lowered down. It comes with this, that when the lactobacilli grow, they do reduce the pH because they produce lactic acid. So this is all favorable for the intestinal ecosystem. So these were the conclusions of the FOS work, and we published in a journal named as Food Chemistry, characterization of a mycelial fructosyltransferase from Aspergillus timmeri for generation of fructooligosaccharides. So there are a few more research papers on generation of fructooligosaccharides all the way from fungi, and where we produce inulinase, fructosyltransferase, and sucrase enzyme from various molds, various fungal isolates, and of course immobilization and all that. So this was about fructosyltransferase, and then coming to today's topic, that is generation of mannose-oligosaccharides using endo-beta mannases. So mannan is a very interesting substrate because it occurs as structural as well as storage polysaccharide in plants. This is something rare because either the polysaccharides are structural or storage. But in case of mannan, you can see it is found in pods. Also, at the same time, it is also found in the structural part, like a stem. It's basically a hemicellulose. It's just like xylem. It is a hemicellulose. So this picture shows guar gum, locust bean gum, konjac gum, and these two things which are agro waste, palm kernel cake and copra meal. So they all have mannan. They are all rich sources of mannan, and the mannan is a heteropolymer, and it's a polydiverse kind of polymer which has various substitutions, especially glucomannan and galactomannan. So definitely you require more number of enzymes apart from endo-beta mannanase. You need an exomanosidase, you need galactosidase and beta-glucosidase. So when I'm talking about generation of mannose-oligosaccharides, the major concern is whether the fungus is producing this endo-beta mannanase, and if it is producing, then how much is the titer, and what kind of an enzyme is this? What are the characteristics of these enzymes? So these are the questions we are trying to answer in our mannan work. Well, palm kernel cake is a waste that is generated by the oil industry, and it is generated in huge amounts. Similarly, the copra meal, which is generated by the copra oil industry. And interestingly, not many people know that they are very rich sources of mannan. So we are trying to exploit these agro waste for generation of mannose-oligosaccharides. So the effort is like value addition, to a waste. Now, we started all this work, say, in 2015, and one of my students, Hemant Soni, isolated these number of molds. He screened them for mayonnaise production, and you can see some numbers on the screen, various titers being produced by different fungi, including thermophilic Malbranchia cinnamomea and Aspergillus oryzae. Of course, this is an MTCC isolate, and then Aspergillus quadrinatus, which I'm going to talk more about. So the results of screening were published in 2016, and this zymographic analysis shows that fungi do produce more mayonnaises, and sometimes they are more than one, many times they are 4 or 3 and so on. We optimized the production of thermostable beta mayonnaise from Malbranchia cinnamomea, and purified the enzyme and characterized it, and then of course used it for generation of manotetraose from konjac gum, and manotetraose again from locust bean gum. So basically it's about generation of small oligosaccharides from gum using the fungal mayonnaise. Again, some publication coming from Malbranchia cinnamomea. And all these cultures, most of our cultures are deposited with this NFCCI facility at Agarkar Research Institute. Rahul Suryavanshi, one of my students, isolated this fungus named identified as Aspergillus quadrilineatus, and the fungus grew profusely on this copra meal, which I referred which I told that it is a copra oil industry waste. And of course, all these molds like Aspergillus terreus, Aspergillus oryzae, Aspergillus quadrinatus are able to colonize on copra meal. And then we optimized the production of mayonnaise using the response surface methodology, which is a rather simple technique, but a good idea to optimize the production. And many times you get yields enhanced up to 10 times or 5 times or 4 times. Then coming to the products of mayonnaises of these molds, these fungi, Aspergillus terreus, you can see. And interesting to note is that with different gums, mannans are basically gums. So basically, with different gums, you're able to see different products being produced using the same mayonnaise. So right now we are pondering on these things, that how to go after one particular mannan and develop a prebiotic preparation which is more meaningful. So you can see from LBG, the Aspergillus terreus mayonnaise produces manotetraose, manobiose, and mannose, and from konjac gum it produces manobiose, and in case of guar gum it's producing manotriose, and so on. So these are the usual experiments that we carry out in our lab, that we kind of make the enzyme react with different mannans, and then we are able to see different products using HPLC profile, and then we narrow down to which preparation will be suitable. Basically, our interest in this palm kernel cake and copra meal is because that they are the agro waste, so nothing, they don't accrue any cost. This is the idea. So you can see that we are able to produce M3 with the copra meal and palm kernel cake. These pictures are showing the profile of the sugar profile, the profile of oligosaccharides on polyacrylamide gel using a technique called as fluorescence assisted carbohydrate electrophoresis. So this is quite an interesting thing, that you can visualize your oligosaccharides on this polyacrylamide gel. Of course, you have to use a very high concentration of the gel. So this was using Aspergillus oryzae beta mayonnaise, and we published these findings in Bioresource Technology, where we produced the enzyme using Aspergillus oryzae and purified it, and then characterized it for production of mano-oligosaccharides. Now, how do we assess the properties of the prebiotic properties of mano-oligosaccharides? So basically we conduct, we try to find out that whether they are offering us scavenging activities, they are able to scavenge the free radicals like ABTS is a very commonly used example. Then do they have antioxidant property where we use DPPH? So the results show yes, the oligosaccharides which are produced in the agro waste, when we use them for scavenging activity or for antioxidant activity, they do give a positive result. Similarly, you can see that the prebiotic activity in terms of the anti-neoplastic activity of the prebiotic oligosaccharides generated using various mannans, including LBG, guar gum, konjac gum, palm kernel cake, copra meal, etc. So this was tested again colorectal cancer cell lines. The idea is that these prebiotics, because they're consumed, can they serve as a neoplastic agent for the intestinal cancer? Then the growth promoting activities, like I already showed it for fructooligosaccharides, that when you compare the effect of MOS on the growth of probiotic strains like Lactobacillus delbrueckii, Lactobacillus acidophilus, then you are able to see that yes, the effect of copra meal hydrolysate and palm kernel cake hydrolysate in both the cases is quite promising, and it is over and above the positive control, that is when you use glucose. So these results were again published in International Journal of Biological Macromolecules that say that characteristics of bioactive properties of mono-oligosaccharides derived from agro-waste mannans, and the results comprise of the mannanase produced by the Aspergillus oryzae, MTCC strain. Now coming to the quadrilinatous work, you can see that again it is generating various oligosaccharides from locust bean gum, and you could see them in better fashion when you use this fluorescence assisted carbohydrate gel electrophoresis. It's more sensitive even than HPLC. We are yet to, we are trying to optimize it for kind of having a technique to characterize oligosaccharides. It's under process. Then we did immobilization of Aspergillus oryzae mannanase on the metallic surfaces, aluminum oxide pellets, so that we can reuse it. And yes, you can see that this is how it gets immobilized. It gets hooked onto aluminum oxide pellets, and then you can, Aspergillus quadrilatus mannanase, and then you can go on reusing it number of times for generating manotetraose, manotriose, and manobiose. So again, these results were published in Food Chemistry. Immobilization of Aspergillus quadrilatus, a multi-enzymatic, because it is having more than one mannanase, so we call it multi-enzymatic system for generation of mono-oligosaccharide. Of course, it has some uses in fruit juice treatment also. So the prebiotic activities of hydrolyzed mannans by Aspergillus quadrilatus mannanase. So you can see profiles, HPLC profiles of different mannans being hydrolyzed by Aspergillus quadrilatus beta mannanase, and you can see number of oligos being generated. So we straightforward use this without purifying. We straightforward, because purification again is a costly affair. So we characterize. Of course, there are ways of various means of characterization. Like in this picture, you can see characterization using FTIR, and we are also trying to study characterization using NMR, where you can elaborate, you can get elaborate details about the bonding and all that about the oligosaccharide. Okay, so again, the anti-neoplastic activity of the prebiotics generated using defatted copra meal, konjac gum, and locust bean gum using Aspergillus quadrilatus mannanase. So you can see that they are offering significant, they are conferring significant anti-neoplastic activity. And it is of course maximum in case of the locust bean gum. Well, a simple experiment to study whether your prebiotics generated in different, mannans, do they support again, like I showed some data regarding the growth promotion of probiotic strains. So again, those same probiotic strains, Lactobacillus delbrueckii, Lactobacillus acidophilus. So you can see in case of defatted copra meal and locust bean gum, the film formation and the growth promotion of the Lactobacillus strains is evident. Then trying to figure out the mechanism or what are the actual products when you grow your lactobacilli on the Menon hydrolysates. So to visualize this, Rahul Suryavanshi, one of my students, could see the formation of short chain fatty acids and branch chain amino acid in the culture broth of the lactobacilli. Again, pointing towards the probiotic activity of the strains. Lately, one of my students, Uttam Jana, has been doing this in silico studies on the beta mannanase of Aspergillus oryzae, and we have already communicated these findings to some journal. It's underway, and we are able to figure out how the enzyme. These are the in silico studies on the binding of the beta mannanase with the oligosaccharides. So our conclusions regarding the use of beta mannanase, fungal beta mannanases on different mannans is like we are able to generate short degree of polymerization, DPs for that, short DP MOS from galactomannans and copra meal and palm kernel cake, which do have a number of prebiotic properties, including the growth promotion of lactobacilli and anti-neoplastic activity. Some more publications regarding the evaluation of Menon hydrolysates, like from Aspergillus terreus, and again Aspergillus terreus growth on palm kernel cake, locust bean gum, and guar gum. And this paper from where I worked with a great exponent of this xylanase, Professor Lisa Vicari. This paper formed the basis of my work on mannanases, and from this paper I got interested in working on mannans. So it happened in 2008, got published in 12, and so from there onwards we are trying to figure it out. Well, to share with the mycologists, I'm happy to share that these are the two upcoming book chapters, or say review articles coming in the Encyclopedia of Mycology, which talk about application of fungal hemicellulases. Again, a lot of this involved Menon work, and application of fungal inulinases, which I referred to in the beginning of my talk. So, of course, our lab is also engaged in some work on cellulases, the generation of glucose, and then its subsequent fermentation to ethanol. Bhanu Pratap is involved in this. And recently we have published one paper on Aspergillus tuberinogensis cellulase cocktail for generation of 2G bioethanol.
So can I interrupt you?
Yes. I have come to my last slide only.
Yes. Thank you very much.
This is about acknowledgements. I have already acknowledged my mentors, like Professor P.C. Jain, Professor S.C. Agrawal, my PhD students, and of course the funding agencies, and most of the analytical instrumentation available in the sophisticated instrumentation center at Dr. Harsing Gaur Vishwavidyalaya. So this is my group working towards characterization of fungal enzymes. So together they are like 8. One is missing in this picture. So without taking much time, I thank profusely MSI for conferring this honor upon me, and I wish that MSI grows and grows well in future. Thank you so much for patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kango, for the excellent award lecture. Arnit, can you focus me? Arnit,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you focus me.
Sir, could you please stop the slideshow?
Yep,
Kango, sir. Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very nice lecture you delivered. I request the chairperson and co-chairperson to join me to give this award to Professor Kango, Professor Dr. Agnihotra Memorial Award.
Yeah, we are joining.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much, sir.
Yes, sir. Already in your inbox, the award is there.